Gemini Ascendant, how are you? We are going to walk through the rest of September and then we're going to go into October for you. October is going to be, I'm calling it the month of the setup. Things are going to start moving and shaking. At the end of September, we're going to see things happen. Comes down to Saturn standing still. But then when we slide into October, there's a couple of key things that happen at the very beginning of October. We will get into that, but when we walk through September for you, this is a time of don't give up, Gemini. This is a time where the North Node, where we're headed, and it's in your sign. Analyze your sign. This helps us to understand where are we headed. If you're a Gemini Ascendant, Gemini Rising, this is where am I headed. Gemini is the sign of duality, and it's important to understand the duality of oneself before we can understand the possibilities for oneself, the possibilities of where I'm headed, of where I'm going, of who I can potentially be. The sign of Gemini in the duality is the understanding of the masculine and the feminine energies within yourself. And along with that is the feminine side is the nurturing, the empathy, the understanding, the emotions. The masculine side is the thinking, the clarity, the matter of fact, the objectivity, the looking at something almost like a scientist where there's almost a detachment involved, where there's almost a lack of feeling, right? The opposite of the feminine side. The masculine side doesn't incorporate so much feelings and emotions and nurturing, taking all those little bits and pieces to create this beautiful recipe. It's more of these little incidents, these factual things that we can logically connect, because Gemini is all about to be able to think. It's Mercury as its ruler. So what it's done is it's taken in facts, it's taken in information. Sign of Mercury as Gemini's ruler is very much connected to the Uranus energy. And when we look at Uranus energy as a very much of a higher octave of mercurial energy, it is the scientist. It is looking at something regardless of how you feel about it, but being an objective, detached observer and saying, okay, this happened here, and I saw that when this happened, this was a result of what happened. And this thing that happened, all these ingredients were involved. All these people were involved. These were the players. And this was the environment. And when I take all the facts, when I gather the information, Mercury, I then deliver the information, Mercury. The deliverer of the information. I've gathered the information and now I'm going to share with you all the information that I have. I'm the broadcaster. I am the news person. Okay, that's that mercurial energy. That rules your sign. That rules Gemini energy. Definitely be like the postman, right? Walking with the mail and delivering it from house to house, delivering the news. Because back in the day, that was the way we got the news, right? It was the newspaper, it was the radio. What was it before then? Paul Revere style. But now we've got this, right? So now the sign of Gemini has graduated. I can just pick up my device, right? I just pick it up and bam, 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 bam. I can send you information and you get it just that fast. So the sign of Gemini has graduated and has become all about social media, internet, anything you do on the internet, because it's communication, it's information being delivered via the internet, via the electricity, right? And so that's the higher octave of Uranian energy, which is definitely electricity. But it's taking electricity and combining communication and the voice and knowledge all in one. And that is Gemini energy. And so I'm talking about that because we are talking about what Gemini is going and heading towards, right? This graduation, so to speak, this elevation. Gemini energy, thinking, talking, speaking, and the duality of it. I can be very matter of fact over here, and I could be very blunt and just say what I think without thinking it through or thinking how it might sound. Many times that does happen, where it's like, okay, the words come out so fast, I didn't really think about how that might have sounded, because the thing that I said, I realized it could have multiple meanings in the way in which I said it. So depending upon who was listening, it could have taken on a whole different flavor for somebody. But the feminine energy of that same Gemini energy, that same duality, understands, oh my gosh, no, like, wow, I realized, I heard, I listened, I saw, And I understand like that was hurtful or that was painful or it could have been said in a different way. So realizing this within yourself is important to understand. And until you're willing to embrace that about who you are and about how you appear to people that way, people look at you, people see you, and they're immediately like, okay, that person's real matter of fact. That person is very logical, very rational. I get along with that person. They're fun, right? They're very busy. They're very active. They're very hands-on. They seem to know a lot. They seem to know a lot about a lot. That would be Gemini energy. I know a lot about a lot. And when I speak, I'm talking as though, like it's my job to deliver the information. So I might be very loud, very bold with the way I talk about it. There's no, hiding or being shy about it. It's just, here I am. I am the deliverer. I am Paul Revere. But it's going to then help you understand the way you think and the way you communicate. Okay? Because in your house of thinking and communications, you have Leo energy there. Typically, you're going to have Leo energy there. Leo energy is very expressive. So people who are Gemini ascendants are going to be almost at times when they're talking, it's like they are roaring because when the lion has something to say, roars. Like that is Leo energy. And Leo energy can also be very dramatic, right? Meaning it's saying something, whether it's happy, whether it's sad, it's high emotions. Okay, and you're going to feel it. Leo energy, it's so powerful because of the sun. The sun feeds it. The sun is the Leo's ruler. And so when you understand the sun, what does the sun do when you get sunlight? The sun is how we eat. Be the plants. There'd be the animals. Things in which we eat to sustain, to live, to function, we get because the earth is able to grow those things, and the earth is able to do that because of the sun, because of the water. But without it, without that sunlight, there'd be some trouble. When you have the sunlight, there is this vitality. There is this strength, roar that occurs with Leo energy. Along with its roar, it has the ability to over communicate. And that could be by the amount of words coming out. That could be by the volume in which the words come out. That could be simply by the energy of the words that come out. Feels quite ferocious, very hot at times because the sun is the ruler. And is the sun hot? Yes, the sun is very hot. If you're not careful, you'll get burned by the sun. So understanding this is in your third house, okay? This is the way you communicate. It's also the way you think. There's a beautiful thing about this. Sunlight represents optimism, the light. It's like, you know what? I know it seems dark, but we put a little light on it and it's not going to seem as dark. Optimism, Leo energy, very positive, very physical. Very physical, right? Because it's got the sun flowing through it. Look at the fire signs. This is a good way to understand this energy. The first fire sign is Aries energy. It's all about the body. It's all about me. It's all about moving around. It's the head. It's taking action. But then you go to the next fire sign to understand how it grew. What did it graduate to? Astrology is very holistic, evolutionary, meaning we grow and we go up to this next level. We graduate, we go up to this next level. But we can't forget the layers, the levels that we came from, right? Like before you got to 5th grade, you had to take 3rd grade and 1st grade. You had to go through those. You had to be in preschool and all that. You had to go through all of that. Then you had to have like that home training level before you can actually go to school. All that matters. And it starts with Aries, because Aries is the foundation of the fire energy. Aries energy is cardinal energy. It doesn't think, it just acts. But then it graduates and it goes into Leo, where it learns to talk. It learns to express who it is. And it learns that it can do it very creatively with its physical body. So Leo people, right, whether they are a Leo sun or a Leo moon or a Leo rising, they can be very expressive. Very expressive. Their creativity level will be very strong because of the sun. The sun comes through and it invigorates the body. And when you have a sun, especially for women, when you have a body that is very healthy and where it's got a lot of power to create, that equals procreate. Having Leo in your 3rd house, typically Leo is children, it is fun, it is romance, it is creativity. This would be very flirty type of energy, talking and having a good time. Leo is very flirtatious, likes to have fun with the body, right? Likes to have fun with your body and another person's body. That's Leo energy. If it's in your 3rd house, you're thinking about that. Like that's important because that's always in your mind, always in your thoughts. Having fun with kids, doing creative activities with children, having children. I should be with a partner. And if we're together, we should have children. This would be prominent. And of course, there are degrees of how strong this would be, how strong the inclinations would be within your life. And this is all dependent upon your personal chart. If you are new here, welcome. If you have been here before, thank you for being here. This is G. If there is anything I'm talking about where you need clarity, you meet me in the comment sections down below. I will answer your question. I will try to clarify whatever I can. If you don't know your rising sign, you need to know it. All you got to do, submit your birth digits below. Understanding Leo energy in your third house is imperative. It is the sun. It is optimism. It is bright. It is creating. Somebody mentioned something the other day to me, and they said, I've never been very crafty. I'm not the kind of person I'm not the Martha Stewart kind of person, right? But the word create can be anything, anything you can get your little hands on. And so that could be writing a screenplay. Creating is not limited to having a paintbrush and canvas. Creating is not limited to getting in the kitchen and whipping up a batch of something. Creating is not limited to procreating. Creating is anything that comes through you, out of these hands, out of your mouth, out of your body, that came through you. Everybody has a different idea, but we have to get beyond our humanness. Stand outside of it. Stand outside of it and be open to what can be. Now, in the third house, the thinking is important here. In September, there was a new moon, and that new moon happened in your fourth house. All right, that's where your Virgo energy is sitting. You've got Virgo energy in the fourth house. It was at 25 degrees. That was the sun and the moon together at 25 degrees. And that sun and moon were getting an exact trine from Saturn in Capricorn. Capricorn is Earth energy. So you have a new moon in Earth. You have Saturn over there in Earth at the same degrees, sending a supportive trine. So for many people, new work coming. So for Gemini ascendants, this could be work in the home, but it could be work in general. It could be work that you're doing that somehow gives you emotional security, because having Virgo energy in the fourth house, there has to be something that makes sense. Virgo is that make it make sense. Like, it has to be tangible. I have to see it. I have to see it to believe it. It has to add up. I need to see the details. Organizing is a big Virgo thing. Also, your health and your well-being. Being financially stable and seeing how you can achieve that will bring you such great emotional security. Seeing the steps that it's going to take to get there will help you. And having Virgo in that house, having the new moon in that location of your emotional security, your emotionally satisfied sense of self. Remember, this fourth house placement, whenever I talk about the fourth house, it is the home within here. It's not just the subconscious, your emotional world here, right? It's not just your head and your heart connected, okay? But it's also where you live. It's your physical place. It's where you sleep at night. It is the roof over your head home. It's that combination. What happens in your home has everything to do with what is happening here, and vice versa. If you're not right here in the home, things aren't going to be right either. So when we get to the end of September, in the month of September, there was a lot of things going on. There are 2 September videos that go in deep. They show you the chart. There's a conversation that's going on. There's things being pointed out. So it helps to understand it a little bit deeper. If you are a seeker of knowledge and you want to go deep, I'll put both those videos below. Make sure you watch them. It gives a lot of clarity, because in those videos, I also give lots of extra information in terms of the future. Matter of fact, one of them talks about the month of December. Jupiter stands still this month, and it's like on the 13th already, right? The month 13th has already passed, but you might have noticed something a little bit different. You might have noticed a little bit of optimism, but you also might have felt a change in your emotional tangible security, in your money, in a job. There might have been something different, because it's Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto are all still in Capricorn energy. Capricorn is your career. Your Capricorn energy in your 8th house. Your 8th house is connected to other people. It is your committed one-on-one relationships. It is deeply bonded relationships. You're not just committed to each other, but you're bonded by money. You're bonded by emotions. You're bonded. You're very close, okay? You are energetically bonded. These are individuals that you just talk to, and there's just this understanding, this resonation that happens. And this is because there's this deep bonding that typically goes back to childhood or past life or whatever's easier for you to swallow at this time. Doesn't matter. Just knowing that there's a bonding, a deep bonding, and there's no explanation for it. It just is. Because it's Capricorn there, this is normally going to be a father figure in your life or somebody who's an authority figure in your life. So for a lot of people, the authority in your life, a male authority in your life, but does it have to be, I should say masculine energy, not male, because there are plenty of women who are authority figures in their children's lives, and they are the only authority figure in their life, period, right? There's a lot of single moms out there. But there are also plenty of females that are the boss energy. And that is what Capricorn energy is, the boss energy, the one in charge. And understanding that helps because then you can open up your mind as to who these people could be. So for some folks, this could be a male energy, this could be the masculine energy, but it can also be, when we say authority figure, it can also be somebody who is older than you. Someone who's not just chronologically older, but seems more mature and seems more wiser in some way. And when somebody has those traits for you and you connect with them, you look up to them, right? It's the Capricorn energy. When we think of astrology and we look at the sign of Capricorn on the big chart, it's in the midheaven. It's the 10th house, right? And that's where you look up to, right? It's I look up to that person. And so this is in your 8th house. So there are people in your life that you look up to, that you're energetically deeply bonded to. You may hook up with people at the job. There may be people, you may be married to somebody that you met at your job, right? That might be that kind of a thing. But there's this energy, this connectivity for you guys, and it goes deep. Now, Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto are all in your 8th house. So the house of deeply bonded relationships is changing and transforming. And it is supposed to, because Pluto was there and will be here for the next 4 years. Wherever Pluto goes, it takes something out by the root and it throws it out because it wants something new to grow, something brand new to emerge. And it will happen whether we want it to or not. Wherever Pluto is in all of our lives, this is happening. Saturn stands still at the end of September. And this is like September 27th, right? When a planet is about to station direct or station retro, which means it's going to stop and it's going to switch directions. Anytime a planet does that and stands still, you will feel it many days before because it gets slower and slower and slower. It's like the car that you have to put in reverse. Before you can put it in reverse, it has to stop. You can't just slam it into reverse. I mean, some people do, right? But it's not good for the car. But you ultimately have to press your foot on the brake, stop, and then your foot should be on the brake when you're putting it in reverse. And this is what happens. And so once it stands still, it becomes stronger. And Saturn is the person that makes the rules in your life. Saturn is the boss. Saturn is the one in charge. Saturn is the one that you look up to. It's the authority figure. It says, no, you can't do that. You have to do this. It's the one that basically tells you what to do. Remember, I like to call Saturn Simon Says. That makes sense because Simon says, hey, take 3 steps forward. Simon says, take 3 steps back. What happens if you don't listen to Simon? If you don't listen to Simon, you have to go all the way back. And this takes me all the way back to what we started at the beginning, things happening over a long period of time. So having Saturn energy, having Capricorn energy in your 8th house, okay? This is a beautiful time to make things happen. Literally sending rays through the neutrinos, sending information. And you're going to use those emotions. Your emotions are power. This was all about home, your 4th house. Making life better, stabilizing your 4th house, understanding that you need things to be organized and clear and for things to make sense in the house. And if they don't, you're going to be emotionally out of whack. That means you're going to have to organize things. And if you live with other people, it can be difficult. It is very difficult if you're a person who likes to keep things in a place, right? The famous saying for Virgo, there's a thing for every place and a place for everything. Another Virgo saying, make it make sense. Something that's understood doesn't need to be explained. A Virgo expression as well, because it's just logical, and that's Virgo. It's like, okay, I see the details, you see the details, why do we have to talk about it? We know the rules, this is how it's supposed to be. And it's structure and order with information. It's structure and order with the material, tangible world. So that's money, objects. Plutonian energy, Pluto, is going to be a factor. Remember, Pluto is very powerful. So when it stands still in the sign of Capricorn, now you hear some of the things I just said. Saturn at the end of September stands still. Pluto at the beginning of October stands still. So we're going to really be feeling many similar energies that we felt the last time this happened. Now, this is slightly different because they aren't as on top of each other. They aren't as close to each other. However, Pluto is back at the point where it was back in spring, for the United States, spring, I should say. And this would have been March. Pluto's back at 22 degrees and it stands still there. All right. Do I send the kids to school? Do I keep them at home? What do I do? What do I do? That was the big deal for September. Like, what do we do? Right? Some people had to face that in August, but in September, it goes into full swing in the States. It's like, okay, everybody's back to class now. So when we get to the end of September, it's a time to look back and to say, okay, we made some choices. Was that a good choice? I made this choice based on what I thought was the best thing to do. And so we're still going to be looking at it. We're going to be reviewing it and asking ourselves, was this the right choice? There's no wrong or right. We had to make a choice. We had to see the results, and then we had to then review it and take a look at it again to decide, do we still want to stick with that decision? And that's what's going to be going on. Now, it's not just about that. Like, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on because this is happening on a very large scale as well. All that's happening in the world, you think about all that's happening in the United States, all the protesting, lots of layers that I don't need to get into, but there is a lot of energy that says, I'm not going to stand still. I'm not going to take it anymore. There's all these imbalances. There's all these inequalities, and something needs to be done about it. And I'm going to use my body to show you what's going to happen because we've got Mars going backwards in the sign of Aries energy. Now, your sign, your Arian energy, is in your 11th house. Your 11th house is your groups. All right. It's your friends. Anytime you gather, with other people, that is your 11th house. But the 11th house is also about humanitarian. It's about, it is social. It is the internet, but it's also about getting together with like-minded beings who think the same way you do as far as being progressive. Like, how do we do things for the group? How do we act when we're in group energy? I want the best for my friends, and this is what I want for them. I have this desire for them, but I'm going to take action with my friends. So it's group activity. Definitely, without a doubt, because you've got Arian energy in groups, and so it's group activity. But when Mars is retrograde, which is what it's doing right now, Mars is very strong. All right, anytime a planet stands still or is in retrograde, it's very powerful. So we want to be careful while Mars is retrograding, okay? Mars retrograding through the Arian energy. This is, like I said, friendships and groups. It is internet. It is also the 11th house of inventions. It is also astrology. Can't miss out on that, where we have advancements for humanity. So it's the inventor. It's the scientist. It's all about where you're going to, right? They're searching for a vaccine right now for the ugly bug. Seeing that Mars is squaring with Saturn, Mars is squaring with Pluto, Mars will be squaring with Jupiter, we can expect a lot of stress and tension, okay? And so this stress and tension for you specifically, Gemini, the stress and tension is yourself, okay? It is not just only yourself, it is yourself within the group. It's your 11th house and your 8th house. So when I say your 11th house, it's my friends, and then your 8th house is those deeply bonded relationships. All right. And deeply bonded relationship goes beyond the big group. You know how you have friends, like it's your friends on social media, your friends on the internet. You connect with those deeply within that group. So even though you may have like 10 or 12 people that you talk to on a regular, there's maybe a couple, maybe one or two that you're really close to. And this could be a spouse. This could be a partner. Definitely somebody who is more of an authority figure in your life, someone that you look up to. This could be a boss at your job, by the way. When we look at the square angle, again, this is all the way until December for you. This is a tight square with Mars, with Saturn, with Pluto, with Jupiter, all the way until December. It will actually start to ease off. Realistically, it'll start to ease a little bit. God, not until like December 25th, because at that time, that's when we have Saturn and Jupiter joining hands and literally starting to move together into the sign of Aquarius. And Mars won't be that far behind in the Arian energy, matter of fact. We'll save that for then. What you're going to need to know, though, is the October full moon, Saturn going direct at the end of September. Then we go to October 1st. October 1st, we have a full moon. Now, this full moon is in the sign of Aries, okay? And I've been talking about the sign of Aries for you because Mars is there. Now, this makes this a hot time in terms of our bodies, a hot time in terms of what I can do with my body or what I can't do with my body, in terms of hearing rules about what I can and can't do about my body. Because Mars is the fighter, Mars becomes even more extreme. Mars becomes even more, 0 to 10. It goes from 0 to 10. It's this energetic bursts that cannot be predicted. So you always want to be careful with Martian energy, but it's a full moon at 9 degrees. Okay, it's not with Mars, but it's the moon and it's Chiron together. And they're at like 7, 8, 9 degrees. Chiron is a wound. It's a deep emotional wound. So this may feel very strong. And this deep emotional wound is in your 11th house with friends. It doesn't mean somebody's out to get you. It's not like that. It just means somebody may say something. Somebody who's in authority that you thought was a friend may say something and it may hurt your feelings because we have Chiron and the moon together. The deep emotional wound, it's a wound that is very old, all right? It's Chiron, but it's deep. You can't just put a Band-Aid on it and it's just going to repair it. This isn't that kind of a wound. This is a wound that's been around. This is an energetic wound. It's an energetic wound that likely could have been caused by physical trauma on your body. Mars in Aries. All about the body. Chiron in Aries, all about the physical body, the head, my appearance. The full moon being there, getting energy, and then Chiron being there, it adds to the power and the potency of it. But think about this. The full moon is a culminating energy. It's a time when, because the sun is opposite of the moon, it lights something up. We somehow get more information about a wound that we thought maybe had already healed, and we realize it's still there, that it's still open, it's still sensitive. And so what you want to do is just be aware of this time. This is October. This is the very end of September. I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know how many days are in the month of September, and I don't have a calendar right in front of me. October 1st is the full moon. So you're looking 3 days before that full moon and 3 days after. Full moon energy is quite potent, and having it conjunct Chiron, a wound in your body, a wound in our body, it will be powerful. Being in that 11th house, just remember, be careful when you're on the internet. Be careful when you're in large groups of friends. Be careful. Now, as October moves, literally 3 days after the full moon, or 2 days after the full moon, Pluto stands still at 22 degrees, almost 23 degrees in the sign of Capricorn. And again, that degree is squaring Mars. Mars is at 24 degrees in Aries. So there's a fear about our bodies, all right? And this fear, likely, the way I see it, on a large scale, it could very simply be the fear about the virus. Getting information, news coming in where it's like, okay, we thought that we had it under control. We thought that we should. Now, that's on a large scale. Does it have to be that? No, it can be other things, but I'm trying to be logical. And I'm trying to say, okay, on a big, grand scale, what would this look like in our world today, right? And knowing what we're all in the midst of right now, and understanding that we're also seeing similar energies we saw back in spring, that we saw back in March, it just makes sense. We are going to likely hear information that we may have to change some things, okay? Now, while all this is going on, we also can't ignore the nodes. The North and the South node, as they go backwards, which the nodes do, by the way, the nodes transit backwards. What I want you to be aware of, because you're a Gemini ascendant, is as the node goes backwards, you're going to want to know what your rising ascendant degree is. Because as that node gets closer to your rising sign, it's going to affect you more strongly. At the time of the beginning of October, we have the North node at 22 degrees, basically 23 degrees, okay? So depending upon the degree of your ascendant, will let you know how close the node is to you. And why do I say all this? Well, because as the node gets closer to the 19-degree mark, things are going to get tough. And so right now, we are preparing mentally. The North node's in Gemini, and it's all about preparing mentally. Gemini is how I think. It is all about staying focused. Be careful what you allow your thoughts to focus on. This is a very important time right now, and we are preparing ourselves for that. We are preparing ourselves because once the North node gets to 21 degrees, it will be squaring tightly at that point with Neptune. And Neptune is in the sign of Pisces. And Pisces is connected to pandemic energy. And the North Node squaring Pisces, North Node squaring Pisces, the North Node in Gemini. Gemini is all about our lungs, all about the way we think, the way we talk, the way we speak. It's air. It's the way we breathe, all of that. And so when we talk about pandemic squaring that, you want to be aware of your hygiene, because remember, we're having a new moon in Virgo energy. And the new moon in Virgo isn't just about my work, but it's also about health routines. The new health routine that we all already knew about, but kind of forgot about, but kind of let it slip to the side. What we're doing is we're reevaluating and we're taking a look and we're saying, okay, I don't really know what the truth is, but if I'm smart, I'll be smart. If I want to be smart, I have to be smart. I have to act smart. I have to make smart choices. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pay attention to my daily health habits, my daily hygiene habits, because washing hands, Virgo energy, daily health routines, projects, health projects, hygiene routine, this is all Virgo energy. And that ruler of Virgo energy is Mercury, which is the same ruler as the Gemini energy, the same ruler of this North Node energy. So when they square up with Neptune, we want to be in a place where we are prepared, where we understand we may be hearing more higher numbers that have to do with the virus, and that we are smart and we are going ahead and preparing ahead of time. We are being very careful as to what we allow ourselves to focus on. We're meditating. We are finding our place of peace. We are creating. We are being smart. We are practicing daily health habits that are good health habits. We are going to make sure that moving forward, we take our health, we take our thoughts, we take our life into our hands, literally into our hands.